Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Old Time Rock and Roll. I'm your host, David Tier, where I've been featuring a different rock and roll artist every day whose birthday it is today. I've been doing this since the middle of the year. I think I started June 30th. But I think, as I announced in my previous video, I'm going to start a new feature the beginning of next year. I'm going to feature songs from my top 3,000 list, at least the list I consider roughly the top 3,000 rock songs of all time. I'm gonna try to count down one song each day for the next 8.5 years till I get to number one. But anyway, just want to let you know that. But today's December 27th, 2023, and today I feature a important rock and roll artist, Mick Jones. He was the lead guitar player for a very important band called Foreigner that was very popular in the 70s and 80s. I'll get to them in a few minutes, but first I want to give a little bit of his background. He was born on this day, December 27th in 1944, and he actually started out in England. He was born in England, and he started out with a British band called Nero and the Gladiators. They played from 1961 to 1964. I understand they had several British hits, but they were never a big band in the USA. And like I said, it broke up in 1964. After that, he was a sessions musician in France from 65 to 71. I think he played guitar for several um, big artists in France during that period. I don't happen to know who they were offhand. I don't think any of them were big in America. But then in 72, he came back to England and he formed a new band called Spooky Tooth along with Gary Wright. Gary Wright was one of the co-founders of the group. He actually had a couple solo hits in the USA. Actually, coincidentally, Gary Wright was the first rock and roll artist I ever saw in concert. He was playing at the Day at the Green in Candlestick Park in San Francisco in the spring of 1977, and my uncle actually took me to that concert, and it was pretty exciting seeing him because he I knew his hits already. He had a couple of big hits, including Dreamweaver and Love Is Alive. But anyway, Spooky Tooth, they were around. They were pretty big, another pretty big band in England from 72 to 76. But then I guess they split up, and he along with what was it Ian well, Lou Graham was the lead singer that they recruited for Foreigner. So this is the band they formed in 1977. Ian McDonald was his co-founder. That was the name I was looking for. Kind of interesting because I think they got the name Foreigner because Mick Jones was from England and his co-founder Ian McDonald was from the United States. So I guess they were both foreigners to each other. I think that's how they got their name. But anyway, yeah, like I said, Lou Graham was their lead singer, and they got started in 76, and after that, they had a very successful career. They had several hit songs and hit albums. The first big album was just called Foreigner. This came out in 1977. This was their debut album. This one had the hits Feels Like the First Time, Cold as Ice, and Long, Long Way from Home. And then their next album came out the next year. It was called Double Vision. This one had the hits Hot Blooded, Double Vision, title track, and also Blue Morning, Blue Day. I actually had this album and I liked it, even though my sister hated it. I don't know why. But yeah, I like this album, especially Blooded. I don't know, I like that song, but I do. But anyway, the next album they had the following year was called Head Games. I think this is a pretty raunchy album, actually. I never bought this one, but it had some kind of raunchy songs on, it, including Dirty White Boy, um, Love on the Telephone, and the title track Head Games. Not one of my favorites of theirs, but it was pretty popular. Their next big album came out in 1981. It was just called Four because it was their fourth album. And actually, this was a really good one. This had several good songs. This had Urgent, which is a very good song of theirs. It also had a song called Break It Up. and Jukebox Hero, and finally their biggest hit up to that point, Waiting for a Girl Like You. They had several big hits, but no number ones, including that one. Although, Double Vision made it to number two, and Waiting for the Girl, a Girl Like You was number two for a record 10 weeks, 10 consecutive weeks, and it was held out by Physical by Olivia Newton-John and I Can't Go for That by Hall and Oates. And I was never really crazy about any of those songs. Even Foreigner's Waiting for a Girl Like You. I don't know why it was number two for 10 weeks. I can never figure that out. I think the other songs on this album I mentioned were much better. But maybe that's just my personal opinion. I don't know. But anyway, it was a good album. And what was the next one? Agent Provocateur. This came out in 1984. And this one had their only number one song. It was called I Want to Know What Love Is. And this was actually a very good song. I really liked that song. One of my favorites of theirs. I think it did deserve to go to number one. And after that, they only had one other big album that was called Inside Information. This came out in 1987. This had a couple other big hits on it, including Say You Will and I don't want to live without you. And that pretty much did it for Foreigner. I think after that, they didn't really have any big hits. But I thought they were a really good band. I really liked them. I liked most of their hit songs, and I think Mick Jones was a very good guitarist. Lou Graham, he kind of knocked him dead with the vocals. So I think Foreigner is a big was a big group, and anyway, that's my profile on Mick Jones, a Foreigner. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time.